No picking your nose, none of that. And enjoy.
An Ireland that works for all is about our communities, our shared lives, our future. It's a belief that together we are stronger. It's a conviction that Labour values of equality, solidarity and fairness must be at the heart of politics and political change.
I grew up in a social housing estate, and I look back to the first inter-party government, and it was the Labour Party that began the conversation in developing social housing in Ireland. We believe the right to housing and that it is a constitutional right. The idea that we've got people sleeping in hotels, couch surfing, when we've got 160,000 vacant properties throughout our country. We need to ensure that every citizen in this country has a right to housing. We need to give everybody a bit of hope.
An Ireland that works for all is a country where workers and ordinary incomes can afford to have their own homes, where families don't have to worry about paying childcare, and where they can get on with doing the ordinary things in life. Ultimately, we want a country that, regardless of where you come from, the colour of your skin or your sexuality, you are treated with equality and respect in the workplace. I joined the Labour Party because it was a party that cared for my family, and I saw it was the only party that really cared about what was going on in people's lives. And I think that at this stage the country is really hurting at the moment, and I think we need a party that cares for what's going on in people's daily lives.
I'm proud to be a member of the Labour Party because basically we're the party of Conley, we're the party of Larkin. We have that history. And history should never be forgotten by those in the Labour Party. But most of all, what the Labour Party means to me, it's a party that looks after people. It's a party that's always there to help. When we hear a cry for help from people, it's the Labour Party that's first there. We're in the communities, we're on the ground, we're there 24/7, 7 days a week.
I joined the Labour Party because all throughout my life I've faced injustice, I've faced discrimination, I've faced inequalities. So fighting for my rights has never been an option, it's never been a choice. It's never been something that maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. It's something that I have to do. To me, an Ireland that cares for all is an Ireland that fights against inequalities, fights against injustice, an Ireland that truly does believe in equity for us all, an Ireland that ensures we access our healthcare supports, mental supports, education supports and childcare for all. A green transition for us has huge potential for sustainable communities and a better quality of life for all, creating jobs, and maybe a new way of looking at things, new ways of producing food. I mean, the government has failed us in meeting our targets. We're already well through the decade where we're supposed to halve our emissions targets, and Labour would do it differently in my view. I mean, I'm thinking of my own 3 children, or young adults as they are now, and thinking of their future. We have to act now. This is a crisis, and a real crisis, and Labour has an opportunity to make that change.
But we never accept that we're done. There's always another cause, there's always another issue, and we will always be to the fore of that. Because I think now a lot of stuff is popular, but the Labour Party have been campaigning when it wasn't popular. But they ensured that they stayed to the bitter end and they got it over the line.
For me, the future of Labour and the future of Ireland are one and the same. I want to see in Ireland and a Labour Party that champions diversity, that champions equality, one that supports workers, one that supports the working class, and make sure that we have a fair and diverse society for all. Universal health care for all.
Affordable housing for all.
Climate action that works for all.
Affordable childcare for all.
An Ireland that cares for all. We can do better. We must do better. Together we can build an equal republic. An Ireland that works for all.
Comrades, friends, fáilte mór ó Cree go gáil party an Loch Dibra I Kirkig. It is a great honour to address you this evening. While Dublin is very much now my home, I must tell you that as a proud Corkonian, I'm really thrilled that we are having our conference here in Cork for the first time in many years. And I'm particularly honoured to be here to introduce tonight our party leader, Ivana Bacik. For me personally, there have been so many women in this party that have been such an inspiration. My teenage hero, Kathleen Lynch, here in Cork, our party leader, Ivana Bacik. But the Labour woman who had the most direct impact on my life was the late, great Niamh Bhreathnach. Because her changes meant that kids like me, from a working class household, could follow the dream and go to university. We are privileged in our party to have fantastic councillors, area reps, activists on the ground working day in, day out. Each of them have a vision for their community, for our country, that marks out our party at its very best. It's a vision that we now see sadly lacking in government, north and south. And despite the wealth in this republic, despite our public finances exceeding €5 billion of surpluses of €5 billion last year, enough to build 15,000 homes, it feels like it is backwards we're going, not forwards. Our country is a paradox of plenty. Hospital waiting lists that are now longer now than what they were when the country was nearly bankrupt 10 years ago. Areas like where I'm in Dublin's north inner city, where 1 in 4 children cannot access a free preschool place. And think about that for a moment. Think about the disadvantage those children are at when going to primary school. And that's all before we talk about housing. The lifting of the eviction ban is simply indefensible. People have nowhere to go. It's a social scandal, but what's worse, it's no accident. We've had 8 years where the profits and interests of the few have been prioritised over people's living ordinary lives on ordinary incomes. A government that was more happy to pay private landlords, but it was near impossible to get them to build social homes. Zero income tax on investment trusts, yet small builders never stood a chance. And the consequences for my generation and for younger generations has been absolutely devastating. This is the cruel price for an absence of a vision for this country. So it has never been more important that we loudly and clearly demonstrate our party's vision, not just for housing, but for care, for climate, for work. Cuaram, roid, tíocht agus obair. Tá páirtí an Locht Ibre ag éirí de Cork a crothú. For the past 3 years, I have been proud to be our party's spokesperson on workers' rights, campaigning for paid sick leave, miscarriage leave, protections for platform workers to stamp out bogus self-employment, a ban on unpaid internships, a right to flexible work so that every worker, but particularly lone parents and those with a disability, can go out and make a decent living for themselves and their families. And next week, we'll be publishing legislation so that apprentices can be fairly paid. Today, the forces of big business and deep pockets have never been more powerful in our country. The best response, our only response, is to be better organised. United we bargain, divided we beg. People need an active, fighting Labour Party in their corner. We have a vision for Irish politics that no other party can match. And our leader, Ivana Bacik, is leading us in setting out that vision. Comrades, friends, I am proud to call Ivana Bacik a friend and our leader. For more than 30 years, she has been a force to be reckoned with in Irish politics. A powerful campaigner, an unparalleled legislator, and a fierce advocate for the causes and values that define our movement. Throughout her political life, Ivana has championed the cause of workers, of women, the disadvantaged.
And welcome to live coverage of the Labour conference in Cork, where the party has been highlighting the housing crisis along with climate action and work. As you join us, Ivana Bacik is making her way to the podium for her first speech as party leader. This is an important moment for the deputy who was elected to the Dáil in the 2021 by-election in Dublin Bay South.
Friends and comrades, I stand here this evening in Cork to share my vision, a Labour vision for Ireland's future. I do so as leader of a party that has delivered real change, change that has transformed people's lives, tackled inequalities, made Ireland a better place. But we can do more. We must do more. And now, more than ever, we need that Labour ambition for change. To do more, to deliver an Ireland that works for all. Friends, we are a party of the left, ambitious to achieve a left-led, green-red government. But what does that mean today? For me, it's about transforming our communities, our shared lives. It's a belief that together we are stronger. Ní neart go cur le chéile. It's a conviction that our Labour values, equality, solidarity and fairness, must be at the heart of political change. And that government, the elected will of the people, must be a constructive force for progressive change. And friends, we need change and we need progress. The current Conservative coalition is just not working. Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are perpetuating an unequal Ireland. This government is lurching from crisis to crisis, cobbling together half-hearted fixes, all spin and no substance. They are failing the people of Ireland. Let me start with this government's biggest failure, the housing disaster. Under this government, we have seen a catastrophic failure to deliver on housing. And let me be clear, only ideology, not the economy, has held back the massive investment, public investment in housing that is so badly needed. Again and again, this government has turned to the private market to solve its own mess. And again, developers, speculators and land hoarders have shown that they can't and won't deliver the homes that our communities need. This failure is causing record homelessness. Over 11,700 people. Each one with an individual story of distress and hardship. Like the young mother who contacted me in despair, facing the cliff edge of eviction next week, with no prospect of finding another home anywhere in her community. And she is just one of thousands. Every day I talk with young adults still in childhood bedrooms or emigrating to escape the rental rip-off. I hear from parents petrified about having to uproot children from school. And I meet older people stuck in a rent trap with no prospect of security in their retirement. Having a safe and secure home is essential to our well-being. It is vital to the start that we create for our children. A home is a basic human right. And friends, the government should be vindicating that right. First and most urgently, they must extend the eviction ban. That's why we have tabled a motion of no confidence in this government, a government that is out of ideas and out of time. A temporary extension of the ban would provide breathing space to increase housing supply, not just to ramp up the tenant in situ scheme, but also to tackle vacancy and to undertake a massive rapid build housing programme on public land, and to introduce a new use it or lose it scheme, a rule to stop speculators from sitting on inactive residential planning permissions in rent pressure zones. Comrades, we have a crisis. We need urgent action. And if they really wanted to, in a few months, this government could increase the number of affordable homes. But these are emergency measures. The real goal, my priority, is for a structural revolution in the provision of housing in Ireland. This government has abandoned an entire generation to the private rental casino game, a game they can only lose because under this Conservative coalition, the odds are stacked against them. By contrast, Labour would create a housing model, public homes on public land, where the state takes a central role and the common good comes first, where for the first time, a right to housing is enshrined in our constitution, where the vulture funds and bankers are told to back off, and where we see a clear, deliverable ambition to build the social and affordable homes for our young and future generations. Friends, our Labour ambition is for 1 million homes in 10 years, starting now. The state can, and we must, deliver 50,000 new builds and 50,000 refurbished homes a year for the next decade. In a strong economy with financial surpluses, we can do this. With new thinking and new ideas, we can do this. And with a national housing emergency causing suffering for thousands, we have to do this. That is our Labour ambition for housing. And as I said earlier, I want to focus on ambition, on what this country can become. Ireland can become a leader on climate action. We are now on the cusp of what could be enormous positive change. This change will take courage, it will take honesty, and it will take vision. But as our great international climate champion Mary Robinson says, it will be transformative for Ireland. Our current government does not get this. Sure, there has been some progress, but they lack the necessary ambition and political unity to deliver for the environment. Struggling with internal dissent, they are driven by compromise, not conviction, and we have seen far too many delayed and missed targets on climate. Let me be honest with you this evening. Ireland has committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 51% over the next 7 years, by 2030. But no one believes the government can meet this climate target. They talk a good game, but they cannot deliver. Don't just take my word for it. Look at what they say themselves. In December, the government published the latest glossy climate action plan. The plan identified 6 key target areas. One of these is land use, critical in a biodiversity crisis. We know that we need significant increase in forestry cover, rapid movement on re-wetting bogland and on creating carbon sinks. But the government have no emissions reduction target for changing land use. The plan is blank, nothing. That's because this government won't be honest with people about the scale of the challenge. I will be. Friends, on agriculture, we have to change the way we farm, working with farming families and food producers to achieve sustainable rural communities. And we must be honest about radical change in transport too. Communities should not be built around cars. We can and we must transform our cities and towns by prioritising walkers and cyclists over motorists, a bike to school scheme for children, a national greenway network of cycle lanes, and the transformation of public transport. Our Labour plan for a climate ticket can do this by providing unlimited bus and train journeys anywhere in Ireland for just €9 per month. It worked in Germany, it can work here. And colleagues, other transport measures are also needed, like a new tax on fossil fuel guzzling SUVs, like that already introduced in France. We all know the future of the planet hangs in the balance. Just this week, we got a final warning from the United Nations. So we need leadership and we need honesty. We in Labour can provide both. Too many other parties are full of promise but empty on policy. We know what they're against, but not what they're for. Offering no constructive solutions, it's dishonest. I prefer to tell the truth. There are difficult decisions on climate, but there are also fantastic opportunities for this country, and we need to grasp these. Developing offshore wind capacity, exploring alternative fuels like green hydrogen. Travelling around the country in the last year, I've seen incredible new businesses, creating employment in every county. We have the drive to support creative and ethical enterprises, to generate well-paid jobs for our changing world, jobs for good. That is our goal in a just transition. I want us to be brave enough to lead that change. Sustainable jobs for a fairer, greener future. That is Labour's ambition for climate and our economy. Friends, our party is the party of jobs and of work, rooted in the trade union movement, and I am proud to be a lifelong trade unionist. Our Labour movement has delivered real benefits for working people, and that task is far from over. Just look at the bravery of workers in the tech sector and the gig economy who are beginning to unionise, often against significant resistance from their employers. No worker should have to face the might of a multinational corporation alone. No worker should have to face unfair hours of work, low wages or abuse while at work. That's why my ambition, working with the trade union movement, is to chart the next phase of workers' rights in Ireland. That work has already begun. Labour has led the campaign for the right to sick leave and to flexible work. We have led the campaign to end the scourge of low pay. We have led on the right to paid leave for women suffering early miscarriage, but we must do more. Labour would end the situation where apprentices are not covered by the minimum wage. And we would ensure that community and voluntary sector workers get the pay and conditions they deserve. We would go further too, by ensuring that workers and unions have the right to organise. Because we know very well that the best way to improve pay and conditions is through union representation. And in this cost of living crisis, we know that workers in Ireland need a pay rise. Just as we would deliver for workers, so too would Labour deliver on care. Because tonight, our country is utterly reliant on the unpaid care work being carried out by thousands nationally. People struggling to balance caring for an elderly parent, for a child or for another relative, often alongside the demands of paid work. And our workplaces need to recognise this reality. Labour would introduce a legal right to reduce working hours for a period of up to 2 years for those taking on a caring role at home. And on childcare, Labour has ambition, the ambition to deliver a guaranteed preschool place for every child. We have a plan, friends, for equal early years. Just as our dear friend Ivana delivered free third-level education for all, so too we would deliver a public childcare scheme. This scheme would transform the lives of parents, of childcare and early years staff, but most of all, it would transform the lives of our children, because we know the immense benefits of a universal education system, from preschool to primary, right through to third level and beyond. And friends, we would also deliver on the vision of a universal healthcare system. We would commit massive investment to primary care and to the training of our nurses and doctors. We would roll out free GP care to all under 18, because no parent should have to think twice before having to take a sick child to see the doctor. Labour has ambition for radical change in healthcare, and that change must include the decriminalisation of drug use, because addiction is a health issue, not a criminal justice issue. Friends, that Labour ambition for healthcare and for childcare is essential for a more equal Ireland. As a feminist and a socialist, I have campaigned for equality all my adult life. For the rights of those who have suffered due to state neglect, institutional abuse survivors, those incarcerated in mother and baby homes and Magdalen laundries, those affected by the thalidomide scandal. For LGBT rights, for the rights of travellers, for the rights of disabled persons and of children with autism desperately seeking decent services. I've campaigned for women, denied abortion rights in this country for far too long. For me, that passion for equality is stronger now than ever before. By having the courage to take on Conservative Ireland, Labour has changed people's lives for the better. We've changed women's lives for the better. And now the government have conceded our call to hold a referendum on gender equality later this year, to finally jettison De Valera's delusions about women. but also to recognise and value the immense contribution made by carers, and to expand our definition of family beyond that based just on marriage. This is change worth winning, and I know that Labour will be leading that campaign for progressive change to our constitution. Just as we have always campaigned for a more secular state, for an end to the enduring influence of church doctrine in our schools and in our state institutions. Just as we, the members of a party founded by James Connolly, have always campaigned for a more equal Ireland, and working with our sister party, the SDLP, we want to deliver on our shared ambition to achieve a social democratic vision across 32 counties. That's why, friends, we support calls for a unity referendum, not for the empty nationalist idea of a fourth green field for its own sake, but because we believe in building a consent-based movement for change through the Citizens' Assembly model and in keeping with the core principles of the Good Friday Agreement. Friends, it is now 13 months since Putin launched his murderous, brutal assault on Ukraine. The Irish people have opened their hearts and their homes to Ukrainian families. We need to step up further now. I want to see Ukraine fast-tracked to join the European Union. I want government to pass the Labour bill to root Russian oligarchs out of the IFSC, and I want the immediate expulsion of the Russian ambassador to Ireland. But while international attention has rightly focused on Ukraine, we cannot ignore gross human rights abuses around the world, in Iran, in Syria, in Afghanistan, and of course in Palestine. Made worse, made worse in Palestine by the apartheid policies being pursued by Netanyahu's far-right government. The expansion of illegal settlements in Palestinian territory has made peace more distant. So Ireland must now pass law banning the import of goods from illegal settlements. Colleagues, as a party with a proud international tradition, we stand in solidarity with those who come to our shores seeking refuge. This is personal for me. I had a grandfather from Bohemia, a grandmother in County Clare. My grandfather, Karel Bacik, was imprisoned by the Nazis and fled what was then communist Czechoslovakia. He and his young family arrived in Ireland with little, but he had ambition and a will to succeed, and succeed he did. I am proud of my Czech and my Irish roots. And my story is just one example of how immigration is positive for Ireland. We know we are a better, more prosperous society thanks to those who have migrated here. The positive immigration story is found in the kindness and solidarity we see in every community across the country. Every classroom, every hospital, every sports club and every workplace. It's a story of friendship, not fear, a story of hospitality, not hatred. And it's a story that will shape our island positively for decades to come. So we in Labour stand firmly against those on the far right who seek to tell a different story, who seek to exploit fear and to spread lies. Shasan Party and Loch Dibra, Igoni, son na Fianna, son Cearta Déna, son Cochram na Féine, agus son na Héireann. Colleagues, building on our proud tradition and on our Labour values, because that's what makes Labour different. We have the ambition, we have the energy, and we have the commitment to deliver real change. Comrades, our Labour ambition for change would deliver on housing, it would deliver on climate, it would deliver on work, and it would deliver on care. It would deliver on our core values of equality, solidarity and fairness. Because together, Lechéile, we can build an equal republic, a better republic. So join us now, colleagues. Join us to deliver an Ireland that works for all. Gura Mahagor.
Labour leader Ivana Bacik there enjoying the applause and cheers from the party faithful. As you can see, TDs and senators are now gathering around her at the podium. No surprise that housing was the centrepiece of Ivana Bacik's speech, where she called for 1 million homes to be delivered over 10 years in both new builds and refurbishments. She also called for a €9 monthly travel ticket to cover unlimited bus and train journeys. This is the party's first conference in 16 months, and it comes in a week when Labour has been among those calling for an extension of the eviction ban. The party has also tabled a no-confidence motion in the government, which will be debated next week. That's it for this evening. There's much more on the Labour Party conference online on the RTE News website and app. And there will be an interview with Ivana Bacik on RTE Television's The Week in Politics tomorrow at 12 noon and later on RTE Radio 1's This Week. Good evening from Cork.